Good morning. Welcome to AM Live. Hope you're well this morning. As you come in, go ahead and state what you're thankful for. I'm thankful this morning for the grace of God and the way that He weaves our stories together. He weaves our lives in a way that sometimes in the moment we don't see, but as we look back on our lives, we can see the way He's put our lives together. So that's what I'm thankful for, that when we put our trust in Him, and we trust Him to put together our lives, He does it in the best way possible. So state what you're thankful for as you're coming in. It's important to enter His gates with thanksgiving in our hearts and His courts with praise, regardless of what we're going through, because a lot of us are going through some difficult things. It's important that we still give Him thanks and praise for who He is in our lives. So this morning I wanted to talk about Naomi and kind of the story of the book of Ruth, and get into that a little bit. Just start reading in the beginning of Ruth to give you an idea kind of what we're talking about in this story. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to dwell in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, the name of his wife was Naomi, the names of his sons were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they went to the country of Moab and remained there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left, and her 2 sons. Now they took wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth, and they dwelt there about 10 years. Then both Mahlon and Chilion also died. So the woman survived her 2 sons and her husband. So this sets the stage for kind of where we're headed in this story of Naomi. She had moved with her husband to Moab, away from Bethlehem where they were from, and was living there in a foreign area. First of all, it's in a foreign place. Then she loses her husband. Her husband dies, and her sons then take wives, and then in 10 years they die. So this sorrow, this pain that Naomi's going through must have been almost unbearable. She even calls herself. She gives herself a new name because when she returns anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so it says that Naomi decides to go back to her home country. And so I guess for some reason, the 2 daughter-in-laws also get up to go with her. And she says to them, you should stay here, go back to your own area, find new husbands because, my sons had died. And find peace in your new husband's homes. And so one of them, Orpah, does go back, but Ruth determines to go with Naomi, which is so interesting that she now wants to go to a foreign land with her, mother-in-law, who, what link does she have anymore? The 2 sons are both gone. Even the father is gone, the husband of Naomi. But she goes back with her, and so leading into this story, it's just so unique. It's always struck me as so unique, but it's so rich in just the way God wove Naomi's story here. And so Naomi and Ruth return. You know how it goes, where Ruth says to her, "Entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you." She's speaking to Naomi. "For wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me." So, this is unique. Here's a Moabitess who's saying she wants to have the same God as Naomi, the God of Israel, right? Which is, maybe that's just cool for us as Gentiles, because we were grafted into the family of Israel, through Messiah, where, anyway, the kingdom was given to us too. It's not just for the Jews, which was, even a tough thing for the early church to get through, where they realized, the Spirit's being poured out on the Gentiles also. Peter and Paul and those who ministered some to the Gentiles were, had to struggle through this. But here we see it, someone who's not Israelite going and becoming an Israelite, or going in the ways of an Israelite, and even more so. As the story goes on, we'll see that. Okay, so they go back, and as they return, so Naomi says, when she saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped speaking to her. Now the two of them went until they came to Bethlehem, and it happened when they had come to Bethlehem that all the city was excited because of them. And the women said, "Is this Naomi?" But she said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt bitterly with me." So Mara means bitter. And it's interesting because she could definitely say that her life had become bitter, if anyone could. She had lost her husband and her 2 sons. How could you lose more, you know? And so she said, I'm not the same person you knew. My life is totally different now. I went out full, the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me and the Almighty has afflicted me? So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law with her, who returned from the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Okay, and so you know how the story unfolds. If you don't, please read Ruth. It's only 4 chapters. 4 chapters, let me just make sure. Yeah, it's only 4 chapters, and it's a really, really cool story. But anyway, Ruth ends up meeting Boaz as she's gleaning in his fields. She was allowed to go after the reapers and pick up enough for her and Naomi to eat. And so it looks like they're going to live out this meager, at least they have food, they have each other, and they'll just, die. I hate to put it that way, but, without a son in the line, then her husband's line goes away. And that's it. But God steps in this situation and says, not only will I continue your line, I will continue my line through you. And that's what's so amazing about this story, is that Naomi counted herself as done. She said, my life is bitter. That bitter was going to be her identity and her life story. Like, it started good, but it ended bitter. And yet God did this, that he completely changed it to where Ruth meets Boaz, and Boaz is a kinsman redeemer to the family. He steps in to carry on the family line for the tribe of Judah, Elimelech's line. And it's amazing. And Ruth bears a son. But listen to this. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife, and he went into her, and the Lord gave her conception, and she bore a son. Then the women said to Naomi, blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a close relative, and may his name be famous in Israel, and may he be to you a restorer of life, and a nourisher of your old age, for your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is better to you than 7 sons, has borne him. Then Naomi took the child and laid him on her bosom, and became a nurse to him. Also, the neighbor women gave him a name, saying, there's a son born to Naomi. Catch that. This is Ruth's son, but it's counted as a son to Naomi because he carries on her line. Her husband's line. But the way that this life was just re-injected into her life path, and that she didn't just fade away in bitterness. Obed means servant of God, but it's so interesting. And the women called his name Obed. He's the father of Jesse, the father of David. So Obed was only 2 steps away from King David in the genealogy, which is just amazing when you think about it, that Naomi probably had no idea what it was going to look like down the line. But the way that God, in his great mercy and grace, gave her this amazing gift in her life, and in the lineage of her husband, and in her lineage too. It just strikes me that, in her old age, she had counted it as done, and maybe hope had left her, it sounds like. And yet there was this amazing life that was put back into her path not at the end of her life, but as she was older. That's so encouraging that even though we've been through pain, that we've been through something really difficult, that God still brings that life to us, and that we still have purpose. This child was counted as a son of Naomi, and her life was turned to joy, and it was beautiful. So I want to encourage you with that today, that don't get down about where you are in life. Trust in God as the perfect weaver, the perfect orchestrator of your life, that He has great things for you, beautiful, wonderful things, no matter how old you are or how much pain and loss you've gone through. There is good ahead. Put your trust in Him. Who knows where exactly it'll come from? You may be surprised. I hope you're encouraged and blessed by this little word, this little thought, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Let me pray for you. Father, I thank you for all my subscribers and viewers. I pray that you would be with them this weekend, that you would give them hope, and reinvigorate this hope inside them, this constant assurance that you are weaving together their lives as they trust you. I pray that we would learn to trust you, Lord, that we would see wonderful, joyful things in our future, regardless of the pain and loss that we've gone through. Weave a beautiful thing in each of their lives, Father. Walk with us. Amen. Thank you guys so much for being with me today. I'm going to sign out, and I'll see you again soon.